Hi, welcome to Liberty Hill Farm in Rochester, Vermont. My name is Asha Kennett. I farm here with my father and mother-in-law, Bob and Beth Kennett, and my husband, Dave Kennett, and our 4 kids, Cecilia, Ella, Leo, and Henry. This farm has been around since the 1780s, founded by a guy named John Emerson, who's from the Boston area. We have been here for 43 years, our family. We milk 120 purebred and registered Holstein cows. That's the breed of cow. So welcome, and I'm going to show you around. This is where our calves spend the first 6 to 8 weeks of their lives. Over here we have Ravenclaw. Say hello, Ravenclaw. Sometimes they're a little bit shy. Every calf is born with their personality, which they kind of tend to keep throughout their lives, which is pretty interesting. Our calves come here and they live in these little pens called hutches, and they have a little outdoor pen here. And the reason that they are separated like this is because just like little toddlers and babies, they don't have an immune system, which means every little germ or bug can get them super sick. So we keep them separated so that we can keep an eye on them, make sure that they're eating and drinking enough. We also watch their poop, which is kind of gross, but it is a really great way of making sure that they're healthy. You can see Ravenclaw really enjoys my jeans today. So our calves are born all year round. We have about 120 babies born every year, and their mom has them. And she does a really good job. Cow tongues are super rough. So the mom licks off the babies and then she's kind of done. Our cows are so domesticated, which means that they've been around people and been living with people for 2,000 years, which means that our cows, they don't really know how to be good moms. And so they lick off their baby and they're super excited about it, and then they just kind of like move on. So then what we do as farmers is we come in and we milk the mom. So we get that first milk, which is called colostrum. And that milk, humans make it too, actually. It's like really thick and yellow. We call it liquid gold. It's super good and super important for the calves in that first day of their lives. And so we feed that to them in the bottle. You know, sometimes that can be kind of tricky. Sometimes the calves don't know what they're doing. Usually they don't know what they're doing, so it takes a lot of patience to teach them how to drink off of a bottle. Within a day or so, they have that sucking reflex pretty well down. Let's see if I can get her sucking here. See? They suck, suck, suck on your finger, on anything in your path. So they have that sucking reflex pretty well figured out here. So then they get, after that first day of their mom's milk, and we'll feed them as much as they'll drink. Then they get a bottle until they kind of figure out, oh man, I gotta come to my food. So then we move them on to a bucket and they get 1 gallon of milk twice a day. Hi, Ravenclaw. She really likes and we got another one here licking my sweatshirt. Yes, you're so sweet. Sorry, I got distracted. So then they have water and grain in front of them all day long. And that is super important. As they get a little bit older, when they're about 6 to 8 weeks old, we notice that they're eating more, so we will give them hay also. And really what we're watching for is that they're eating enough food that their bodies don't need that milk anymore. So usually around 8 weeks, we will slowly stop feeding them milk until they don't need it anymore and they're eating enough solid food to just have that. At this point, the calves, we give them their vaccines when they're first born, their shots. So at that point, that's all kicked in. And so they're ready to be in a group. So at this point right now, where these guys are, these are only a couple, let's see, Ravenclaw is probably about 5 days old. At this point, she's not ready to be in a group of other calves her own age. It'll make her kind of sick because they're really licky. As you can see, she's licking all over me. So those germs would spread super easily. So we want to keep her safe. We want to keep her healthy. She's really excited. She just wants to lick everything, you see. The other thing that Ravenclaw is showing me, and I don't know if you can see that, but calves and cows, they're born without top front teeth. So let me, she's got these bottom teeth, but no top front teeth. Blah, 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 which is why they use their tongues for everything. You hear that? Very slobbery, but super cute. So this is one of our calf pens. As you can see, they have a lot more space in the back to run around. So this is where our babies go. Oh, something is climbing on me. Hang on. Ooh, look at that. So this is where our calves come after they leave their little hutches. And in these bigger pens, they have a lot more space to run and jump, and they're also with other calves. So on the plus side, that means they can make friends and learn how to live with other animals. On the other side, they have to be ready and feisty enough to handle living with roommates. So in this, they also get grain, they get hay, and of course they have fresh water all the time. They're pretty happy here. What do you think? Oh, this one's a little shy. So this is our dry barn, or we call the dry cow barn. So this is where cows come when they're about 2 months away from having their babies. And they come to this barn where they just relax and rest. They have a special diet that we have a nutritionist come up with the recipe for, and they get fresh food every morning. They have access to free, fresh, clean water. Behind them, they have sand beds to lay in. And this part of their lives is super important because this is the time that they build up their strength for having their babies. The mom's health is our priority. It's the most important thing to us that we have healthy, happy cows. And they look pretty happy. This is Pajamas. They're enjoying their brunch right now. Say hello, Pajamas. Yeah. So in this barn also, on the other side, we have the breeding age heifers. So those are the ladies that are about a year old and they're ready to breed and have babies. So this barn is kind of split down the middle, but on both sides they have fresh food, clean water, and we bed the stalls with sand, which is really nice and comfortable for their bodies. In this barn also, just like in all of our barns, here I'll show the ground and the backs. And it's nice and the sun is coming out. So this is our dry cow pasture. So some of our dry cows stay inside the dry cow barn because that's what they prefer. Some of our more easygoing dry cows, and again, a dry cow is a cow that is 2 months away from their due date from having a baby. So at that time, they're just resting and eating and hanging out with their friends, getting ready to have their baby. So this is our dry cow pasture. So you can see some of the cows in the back. And those are the ones who really enjoy being on pasture. Most of our cows don't, which some people find kind of funny. Our cows are like the house cats of the cat world. They prefer to kind of be inside where they're shaded and dry, and they like to have their food kind of close by. So that's just what our cows are like. It's not what all cows are like. All cows are different, but our cows definitely are a bit on they like the finer things in life, and they like to relax on their clean sand beds and not necessarily walk around in a pasture for grass. But our cows do spend sometimes outside, and usually it's just the ones who tolerate it because not all of our cows do. But there you have it, those over there. So this is our pre-fresh pen, otherwise known as the maternity pen. So this is where our cows come to have their babies. We tend to bring them up here when they're getting close to their due date or when they're looking pretty close to their due date. Now, cows are pregnant for 9 months, just like people are. And just like people, sometimes it can be tricky to know exactly when they're going to have their babies, but we do have a due date, just like with people, so we do have a good idea of when they're supposed to have their babies, but that doesn't always happen. Just like with people, sometimes babies come a little early or a little late, so we keep them here close to the main barn so that we can keep an eye on them. Our farm is a small farm, so we sometimes also use this pen for cows that maybe are having a little tough time. Actually, Patagonia here, she has kind of a bad leg, so she's in here just so we can keep an eye on her and keep her safe. Cows can be kind of rough with each other. They're pretty gentle as dairy cows with people, but they can be kind of rough and tumble with each other. So if we have a cow who maybe is having a hard time standing up, or maybe she's not feeling so great, we tend to separate them from the rest of the group just to make sure that they get solid back on their feet before they join the rest of the herd. The other cows we have in here are getting ready to have their babies. You do see we have halters on them, which we keep on them when they're really, really close, just so that we can kind of get a hold of them if we're worried that something's not going quite right. So we can, get a hold of them and help them out or give them a good check just to make sure everything's going according to plan. Actually, you can see 2 of our calf pens in the background over there. I don't know if you can see it really well. But in this pre-fresh pen, that's what we call the maternity pen, the cows always have clean sawdust as bedding. They have fresh hay. They get our ration of corn silage, that mixture that we can talk about, and they have that all day long, clean water, everything that they might need to keep them happy and comfortable until the baby comes. Now that the fresh food has been rolled out, I can show you exactly what they eat. So here's just a handful. Now we mix their fresh food every single day, and we follow a recipe, so that's the same every single day. The main ingredient is corn silage, which is the entire corn plant chopped up into pieces and fermented. So what that means is not only do we get the corn stalk, but we have, someone's being feisty. We have the corn kernels, like the corn cobs, just like we eat the corn cobs, but the cows eat the entire plant. So we chop up that and we ferment it, which means it's kind of like how you have canned foods. So fermenting is just a way to store the food all year round, and it's really good for their digestive systems, for their stomachs. So there's corn silage, main ingredient. Then there's hay, which is we grow too. Then there are ingredients that we add. So we add grain, which is kind of like the gummy multivitamin. They really, really like it, but they can't have too much of it because it's really expensive and too much isn't good for them either. And then we also add minerals. So, depending on our soil is the quality of our feed. And New England soil is sometimes a little bit low in certain minerals, something like selenium, magnesium. Those things we add so that the cows are completely well-rounded. They have everything they need to be healthy and strong. And they really like it, as you can see. So each Holstein cow, each one of our cows, eats 120 pounds of food a day. That has to come out somehow. So yeah, they make a lot of milk. Each one of our Holsteins makes between 10 and 20 gallons of milk a day. But they also poop a lot, so they make about 60 pounds of poop each a day. It's a lot. So we clean our barns out every single day. Cows need things to be clean, and they're not really clean animals themselves. So they poop, they lay right in it, they just don't care. So we try to keep them clean by putting a lot of fresh sawdust underneath them wherever they go. This is the tie stall barn. Again, this is where cows come to be milked. And we clean out our barns by scraping everything into the gutter and then turning on the gunner. And it kind of runs all the poop and all the compost out of the barn. Cow poop might be a little gross, but it's super, super good for soil. It has a lot of good nutrients in it. So what do we do with it? We put it on our fields. We grow all the corn and hay for our cows, and so it's really important to keep the soil healthy. And we do that by taking this manure and adding it to the soil. And we do that during certain times a year.
Before we milk the cow, we have to prep her. We dip her with iodine, all 4 teats, to sanitize them. And then we wipe them off with brown paper towels to clean the cow. Make sure her teats are all clean before we milk her. Clean off all the dirt so she's nice and clean. And then we put the milk machine on. She's got 4 teats, so there's 4 teat cups. Shut it off.
Okay, so this is our milk house. We call it the milk house or the milk room. As you can see, milk is coming in from the pipes on the wall and it gathers in the milk receiving jar. Once the milk hits that sensor, it kicks the pump on, and then the pump will push the milk up through the pipe, and you can see the milk goes up through the pipe all the way toward the bulk tank. The bulk tank is a 2,500 gallon tank. And here at Liberty Hill Farm, we fill that every other day. So let's wait for that pump to kick on. So now the pump is pushing the milk up through the pipe, through our cooling unit, and into the bulk tank. These little guys were distracting me while I was trying to talk. Our kittens and cats are super important to us here on Liberty Hill Farm. They keep the mice and rats out of the barn and out of the cow's food. And they are super cute too. Look at their face.